Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most pivotal moments in ancient history, a battle that didn't just decide the fate of empires, but truly changed the world forever. We're talking about Alexander the Great, the relentless conqueror, and his showdown with the Persian Empire at the Battle of Gaugamela. This is part 4 of our series, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single word. Imagine, if you will, the year 331 BC. The world as they knew it was about to be irrevocably altered. On the vast, flat plains of Gaugamela, two colossal forces were poised to collide. On one side, the ancient, sprawling, and unimaginably wealthy Persian Empire, a power that had dominated the East for centuries. On the other, the rising tide of the Macedonian force, an army forged in the crucible of war, led by a single, audacious man, Alexander. This wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a collision of civilizations, a contest between old power and new ambition. The air must have crackled with anticipation, with fear, and with the palpable sense of destiny hanging heavy over the desert landscape. DariusIII, the King of Kings, had assembled an army of truly staggering proportions. Chronicles speak of over 250,000 men, a veritable sea of warriors stretching across the horizon. He had brought out the full might of his empire, the fearsome Immortals' cavalry from across his vast domain's chariots with deadly Scythes mounted on their wheels designed to tear through enemy ranks. And even from the far reaches of India wore elephants, terrifying beasts unlike anything the Macedonians had ever truly faced in battle. It was a spectacle of power designed to overwhelm, to crush any resistance through sheer, unadulterated force. He was confident, and why wouldn't he be? He commanded an empire that spanned continents. Alexander, on the other hand, commanded an army less than half that number. His forces were experienced, disciplined, and fiercely loyal, but they were vastly outnumbered. By all conventional military wisdom, this was a suicide mission. The odds were stacked against him in a way that would make most commanders falter. Yet, Alexander possessed something Darius did not, an absolute, unwavering belief in victory, an unshakable conviction in his own destiny, and a genius for strategy that bordered on the miraculous. He had meticulously scouted the battlefield, understanding every dip and rise, every strategic advantage. He wasn't just a general, he was a master chess player on a grand scale. As dawn broke on that fateful day, the dust of the desert began to turn gold under the rising sun. The vast Persian army advanced, a slow, unstoppable tide, confident in their sheer size and their overwhelming numbers. The ground must have trembled under the weight of so many men and beasts. Their plan was simple: engulf the Macedonian phalanx, surround Alexander's smaller force, and crush them into the dust. It was a terrifying sight, designed to instill fear and break the enemy's will before a single sword was drawn. But Alexander, from his vantage point, saw not just their strength, but their weakness. He saw the potential for confusion in their sprawling ranks, the fear that could be sown, the unwieldy nature of such a massive, diverse force. He saw the weight of their own empire, a burden that could be turned against them. Then Alexander unveiled his audacious plan. He feigned retreat, moving his right flank forward at an angle, drawing the Persian cavalry wider and wider, creating a gap, a subtle but critical weakness in their formidable line. Darius, seeing what he thought was the Macedonians attempting to flee, ordered his own cavalry to pursue, inadvertently pulling them further and further off the field. This was it. This was the moment. In one swift, breathtaking strike, Alexander himself, at the head of his elite companion cavalry, plunged directly into the heart of the Persian center, straight towards Darius himself. It was absolute chaos. The battlefield erupted into a maelstrom of steel, shouts, and the clash of shields. Alexander's charge was like a thunderbolt, precisely aimed, ruthlessly executed. The Persian center suddenly faced with the Macedonian king himself. Buckled under the immense pressure, the carefully constructed Persian battle lines fractured. Seeing the relentless, almost supernatural, ferocity of Alexander's charge, and fearing for his own life as the Macedonian phalanx, now reformed, pressed in on his flanks, Darius III did what he had done before. He turned his chariot and fled. And in that precise, pivotal moment, the greatest empire the world had ever known, the Achaemenid Persian Empire, which had stood for over 2 centuries, began to fall. Its heart was ripped out on the plains of Gaugamela. Alexander, riding through the battlefield, was no longer just a man, he was destiny incarnate, an unstoppable force. His army, fueled by his vision and their unwavering loyalty, finished the job, scattering the remaining Persian forces. The victory was complete, overwhelming, and utterly decisive. The aftermath was swift and profound. Babylon, one of the ancient world's most magnificent cities, opened its gates to Alexander without a fight. Its citizens, tired of Persian rule and perhaps awed by the Macedonians' unstoppable march, welcomed him as a liberator. But the ultimate symbol of Persian power, the very heart of the empire, was Persepolis. Alexander marched on this legendary city, a repository of centuries of Persian wealth and glory. And there, in an act that remains debated by historians to this day, he ordered the city burned. He watched as centuries of power, of history, of artistry, vanished into smoke and ash. Some chroniclers claim it was an act of deliberate revenge for Persia's previous invasions of Greece. Particularly the burning of Athens by Xerxes, it was an eye for an eye. A statement that the old order was truly gone. Others suggest it was a darker moment, a glimpse of a shadow growing inside the Conqueror, a sign of the immense psychological toll of his relentless campaigns, or perhaps even a flash of madness. Regardless of the exact motivation, the burning of Persepolis was a stark, brutal symbol. The old world was dead, and Alexander was its executioner. The Conqueror had triumphed over the world's mightiest empire. He had achieved what many thought impossible. But victory, as he would soon discover, would not bring him peace. Instead, it would only awaken his hunger for more. His gaze would soon turn eastward, towards new horizons, new challenges, new lands to conquer. The man who had conquered the known world was far from finished. The story of Alexander, the greatest general the world has ever seen, was only just beginning to unfold its most complex chapters. What an incredible story of ambition, strategy, and sheer will. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the Battle of Gaugamela and its monumental impact. If you learned something new or just enjoyed the journey, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more epic historical content. We've got so much more to explore together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.